I scorch the earth with these hot lines for the millionth time. Fire and brimstone erupting from the microphone. I steal the show and like a thief
Welcome
in the
to a
night.
special state championship edition of Inside the Lines. We're recording a little earlier than usual and got a lot of moving pieces. Co-host Effie James has had some work commitments. He's unable to join us. Co-producer Zach Heiser, same. So it's Hayden, it's you and I, and we will soldier on here.
Yeah, that sounds like a plan.
We've reached championship week, and for three schools in the Source Media's expanding footprint, the ultimate prize is 48 minutes away. Olentangy Orange, Shelby, and Hillsdale will all play in state championship games this weekend at Tom Benson Hall of Fame Stadium in Canton. Orange, we are kind of in the process of expanding into Delaware County. The Source Media is, and Orange is they're in a state championship game for the first time in program history. They beat Lakewood St. Ed's 28-0, last week at Arlen Field here in Mansfield. Quarterback Levi Davis ran for 78 yards and 2 touchdowns, threw for 75 yards on 6 of 10 passing. Lucas Fickle, running back, added a pair of touchdowns. Davis is an OU recruit, Ohio University. He's a Mr. Football finalist. I was covering Ashland University's Division II playoff game a couple weeks ago against Minnesota Duluth, and people in the press box were just raving about Davis. I think that he's a kid who, I mean, you know, if you're going to go into a state championship game, that's the type of kid you want leading the charge.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know that, as you said, as we're just trying to get a little bit more familiar with them as a team, I know that, I don't know if it was you, Curt, I can't remember, but someone kind of compared him to one of our other finalist team's quarterback. I know he seems kind of similar to Braden DeVito as far as size, weight, and what he does on the field. So pretty cool that, 2 of the 3 teams we're covering this weekend, first ever state title game for them. Right. Both have won games at Arlen Field this postseason, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Orange will try to become the second Olentangy high school to run the route. Liberty did it last year. The Liberty opened in 2003. Orange opened in 2008. Another Olentangy High School opened in 2018. That was Berlin, and from what I understand, they're going to throw up a 5th one here.
Sounds like it.
It seems like the population down there is just. I mean, you have some connections down in that part of the state. It's growing real fast. Yeah,
it's huge. All those schools in that area. You got Big Walnut over in the Sunbury area. Westerville, I think, has 3 high schools. Yeah. So it's just booming. Yeah, absolutely. Then in Division 7, Hillsdale was back in the state final for a second straight season. Falcons beat McDonald last week 41-14 in New Philadelphia. Running back Owen Sloan, a kid we had in here a couple weeks ago, rushed for 240 yards and 3 touchdowns. For the season, Sloan's over 2,090 yards and 32 touchdowns on the year. He broke his own single-season rushing record that he set last year. He's Hillsdale's career rushing king. They have the all-time passing leader in Cale Lewis. They have the all-time leading receiver in Hayden McFadden. That's a lot of talent on one Division VII high school team, so that's exciting stuff going on over there. Yeah, it's a team that we expected to probably put themselves back in this position with all that talent coming back. They've done everything they've needed to do thus far this year. I know that we've talked a little bit this week that, the task is equally as tall this year just because Marion Local is not the opponent this year. There's a lot of size that they're going to be lining up against. Right, yeah, they play St. Henry, and that's another member of the Midwest Athletic Conference out there in Western Ohio. St. Henry snapped Marion's 76-game winning streak, then took care of 4-time defending regional champ Columbus Grove in the semifinals. As we've known for years, the MAC is the undisputed heavyweight king of small school football in Ohio, and maybe in the country. I don't know that. I'm unfamiliar with a lot of things beyond the borders here, but if there's a small school conference that's better than the MAC, I'd like to see it. Yeah, I think it was yesterday when we were kind of looking at just the conference standings and looking at some of the teams, and I don't think it was a slight from the St. Henry coach because he was just simply asked what team in his conference that Hillsdale reminded of him. Preparing to him schematically. But I think whoever he schematically compared them to was 6th or 7th in the MAC this year. Right. So it's just a testament to them. And I think Fort Recovery finished 6th or 7th in the conference. Yeah. And they played Marion for in the regional semifinals. So they won two
playoff games as a number 12 seed. So that is a testament to what's going on there in Western Ohio.
Yeah, they beat up on each other, but I think that helps them come postseason. The only shame is they have to eliminate some conference opponents in the postseason.
Now, Hillsdale lost to Marion last year in the finals. That's a Marion team that might have been the best small school team in state history, certainly in school history. Hillsdale was beat up going into that game. They had a bunch of injuries. It was a recipe for disaster. It ended up being 74-0. Falcons trailed 33-0 after the first quarter. You and I were there, 60-0 at halftime. We've had a couple of Hillsdale kids in the podcast studio, and they said all they wanted was a chance, and now they're going to get their chance of redemption.
Yeah, and I know for plenty of reasons they obviously wanted to try and see Marion local again, but I think that probably quickly shifts when you still have the chance to play for the title. I don't think it matters who they're lining up against. They want that shot, and you've got to think no one likes to lose in that fashion.
Sure.
No matter who the opponent is last year. So I'm sure they don't need any they don't need any newspaper clippings. They don't need any motivation. They've got it all internally, and I look forward to seeing what they can do this year because I'm hopeful they can be more competitive.
Yeah, absolutely. Now that brings us to the Shelby Whippets. Shelby went to Sydney last week and roughed up Indian Hill from Cincinnati 42-7. Braden DeVito, another Mr. Football candidate, and a kid we had in the studio I guess it's been more than a couple weeks ago now.
Yeah, he was one of our first ones, yeah.
He completed 9 of 14 passes, 112 yards and 2 touchdowns, rushed for 85 yards and a score, and kind of put it to bed early from what I understand. He returned an interception, about 43 yards for a touchdown late in the first half, and that kind of I don't know if it sealed the deal, but it certainly was they had him go in the right direction into halftime. You've been there every step of the way. I mean, this Shelby team looks like every bit like a state championship contender.
Mm-hmm. I want to touch on, too, because you just brought it up. I mean, the end of the first half last week was such a defining moment, to score 14 points within a matter of, you have the kickoff, but, I mean, within 20 seconds, that's one of those. That's a huge blow to Indian Hill headed into halftime. And but I think almost the scariest thing just to focus on that game last week, to win in that fashion in a game where, it's still a stellar night, but, that's probably Braden's lowest passing yards of the year through the air. And I think it shows how scary good the defense is, because we've said it plenty of times, and throughout the year, when I write about them, you try to mix it up. There's so many guys you could probably write about every week,
right?
And be the focus of the story, but offense usually gets more headlines.
Sure.
Touchdowns, or people just like to see that. It's easier to talk about, but the defense, and Coach Mahaney has said it, I think the defense has been the story this year.
Right, and Shelby will play Glenville for the state championship at 10:30 a.m. Friday morning. The Whippets are trying to become the first Richland County school to ever win a state championship. We had a couple of close calls in 2019. Mansfield Senior went to overtime with Trotwood, and Lucas played Marion as close as anybody has played Marion recently. If Shelby seals the deal, it will be because of that stingy defense. I think lost in all the offensive fireworks is a defense that statistically ranks, and we've talked about it, among the best in program history, right? They've allowed 118 points in 14 games. That's 8.4 points a game. And we are joined in studio this morning, I guess it is, instead of this evening, by the quarterback of that defense. He is middle linebacker Sam Gwirtz. And Sam, welcome in. Thanks for coming down.
I appreciate the opportunity to bring me in.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got a lot to get to with Sam, but before we dive into it, let's take a moment to thank our sponsor, Graham Auto Mall. Whether you're cruising in for a new ride or keeping your current one in top shape, Graham Auto Mall has you covered. Shop a huge selection of new and pre-owned vehicles, or trust their expert service team to keep you on the road. If you're in the market for a vehicle, stop by Graham at 1515 West 4th Street in Mansfield, or visit GrahamAutomall.com. Graham Auto Mall, your hometown dealer. So, Sam, I mean, that has a nice ring to it, right? The state champion, Shelby Whippets. What would that mean to you guys?
Oh, absolutely. It means everything. You grow up dreaming about it. You go to every game as a kid. You think about that. For the 18 years I've been a part of my life, or been alive, I guess. But it means everything to us. Yeah,
and I mean, Shelby reached the state semifinals a few years ago. 17 was it? Yeah, I mean,
almost 10 years. Crazy to think about. It's almost been a decade.
Yeah. What do you? I mean, do you remember a lot about that run? I mean, what was that influential on you as a young person?
Absolutely, I remember everything. I remember I even remember the music we were listening to going to the game, which is crazy because I was listening to the other night. And, going to Akron, watch those guys play against Steubenville, I still remember every detail of it. And, a lot of those guys influenced me. The reason I wear number 5 is because Brennan Armstrong. I wanted to be a quarterback when I was a kid. And, it means, they influenced a lot.
Yeah, and that kind of brings me to what I mean, you kind of have an interesting story because you were a quarterback for a lot of years, I think up until high school level. I mean, when did you start playing quarterback? I guess let's start there.
So, starting from the beginning, I played flag football as a quarterback.
Okay.
3rd, 4th grade. You moved to 5th and 6th grade football, quarterback, receiver. You're still bouncing around because you're still young.
Sure.
7th grade, I thought I was gonna be able to play quarterback. Braden, he comes in, and you're gonna have to move positions when you have a Mr. Football candidate in your group. So yeah, I ended up starting one game in 8th grade because Braden broke his leg. I think we did pretty good. We ended up tying that game, and it was going through high school. Freshman year, I was still competing. It's like, I still want to play quarterback, and I thought I had a chance, and we ended up splitting reps, and it was like the first scrimmage. I think it's because he's late, but I couldn't put that in there. But we ended up splitting reps or whatever, and he got his opportunity on varsity and just ran with it. And I think back and he's like, I wouldn't want to have any other way, but I wish I could have played quarterback. But sophomore year, I knew I was gonna have to move positions eventually. I played JV quarterback, and then junior year, I was like, the only position on the field kind of open was linebacker, and I was like, yeah, screw it, that's all I got left. And
right.
Like, what I got to lose. I almost ended up quitting, but between my sophomore and junior year, I was like, I don't have a spot. I was like, I'm just gonna go focus on baseball, and it was really, really a hard time for me. And it was like, eventually, I ended up starting. I think, the plan starter, he ended up quitting, and then a lot of kids I beat out. I was like a 4th-string linebacker from being a 4th-string quarterback, and eventually I made my way up to the depth chart. And then I ended up starting, and I ran with it. I got all those accolades my junior year and just kept improving throughout the season.
And Hayden, that can be a bitter pill to swallow when your childhood dreams are kind of taken away from you there.
Oh yeah. I mean, you want to define being unselfish and selfless. I mean, in a way, it's kind of funny because there's no doubt. You're the quarterback of the defense now. So in a sense, it's a different kind of quarterback. But I know that I've brought it up a couple of different times when we've had people in. I mean, I am nowhere near the level of talent that these guys that we talked to all year have been. But I've been through something similar where we had a really talented. It was Brendan's class. Mm-hmm. So many talented guys that by the time I was a senior, I wasn't a starter, and that was difficult
sure.
to try and deal with. But I don't know if you would feel the same, but I think like when you see what starts to become of everything now, and you see the finished product. I mean, I know you said you wouldn't have it any other way, but I mean, looking back now, I mean, I'm sure I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I'm sure you're glad you stuck with playing football.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I would have been the biggest regret of my life if I didn't end up playing football. So I'm glad I did.
Yeah.
What kept you going? I mean, what brought you back?
My dad played football, and my dad's a great man. And I went to go talk to him. I was like, Dad, I'm not gonna end up starting. I'm like 4th-string linebacker. It's like June, and like I don't see any chance of me playing. It's like I was thinking about just not playing and just focus on baseball. And he just give it one more week, and then. I did, and I just kept working as hard as I could. I'm going to work as hard as I could for that week. And, eventually I got my chance, and I just ran with it.
Yeah. I mean, and I think you told me that Braden had said that, when they were talking about you, that you'd kind of fallen out of love with the game. I mean, did you reach a point where you're just like, I can do without football?
Yeah, it definitely, for sure. And like growing up, me and Braden didn't always get along because when you play the same position, you're
sure.
competing. Like you're a competitor with Braden. And, I'm a competitor too. Like, we always didn't get along. And over the last few years, we've really grown as friends. But, yeah, I really did lose love for the game. And I was like, I didn't enjoy it. I never played linebacker. He's like, I felt like every practice I'm just messing up. I'm screwing up. And, yeah, I really did. But it really started to grow when the season started.
Yeah, seeing it slip through your grasp there has got to be – that's a tough spot to be.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's another challenge, right? Like you nailed it perfectly. It's hard to, you're a competitor against kids from other school and who you're lining up against, but there absolutely is internal competitions. I mean, that's what breeds the level of success that you're experiencing now, and that can be a challenging thing that probably doesn't get talked about as much. It's difficult when you're trying to do what's best for the team, but everybody still also has something that they want for themselves. So I think if there's one thing we've seen from this team so far this year too, from all of you, whenever you are speaking to the media, it's that it's always team first, and you're definitely a perfect definition of that.
Was there any one person that you leaned? It sounded like you kind of leaned on your dad when it got kind of tough for you. Was there anyone on the team or a coach or anything like that?
I would say my dad was definitely the main one.
Right.
But, I didn't want to give up on my team. I never will, but I grew up with those kids playing football all the way my whole life, and it was like, why would I quit now? I made it all this way. And, just my teammates, I would say.
Yeah. When the coaches approach you and say, you're going to be a linebacker now, where are you at mentally when that is dropped on you?
Well, no one really came up to me and said, you're going to move the positions. It was more of like I had to move or I wasn't going to play. It was like, it's not like they sought out for me to I had to do my own thing to get there. And, when I did get there, they coached me up. Whatever position I would play, they would coach me up, and I just kind of ran with it, I guess.
Are you excited about it? Did you?
Just kind of nervous.
Yeah, some reservations, I would think.
Playing quarterback and then in safety, then moving the linebacker is a big jump. At the beginning of my junior year, I was 170 pounds, and it's crazy. He's I didn't think I could play that position.
Now, as a junior, I think 118 tackles, got a spot on the All-Northwest District team, on the All-Conference team. Did you expect for it to happen that quickly for you?
No, absolutely not. When I got my letter, first team All-Conference in the secretary's office, I was like, no freaking way. I almost yelled. I was like, how did I was like, no way. I basically yelled, and everyone turned around. I was like, sorry, guys. But no, I didn't expect that, and it's all credit to my coaches. Without them, I wouldn't be able to do anything. Physically, it plays your body plays a lot into the game, but mentally, it's mostly mental, and the stuff you learn really takes you far.
And as a middle linebacker, you're kind of quarterbacking that defense, right? You're kind of getting guys where they need to be, and there's a lot to go through mentally processing, I would think.
Yeah, I play outside. I play boundaries.
Okay.
But Bryce is the middle. But yeah, Bryce usually lines everyone up. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff. I get moved around a lot. I would say, because our game plan's different. Am I out of the box, in the box, and then sometimes I'll be way far out. Helping with the receiver, and it can be stressful sometimes. But you'll learn to adapt. I
would think, Hayden, learning to play a new position is one thing, but learning to play it in real time at the varsity level that's a lot to get thrown at you all at once.
Yeah, especially with how physical that position is and the nature of it. I think one thing Coach Amicone, your defensive coordinator, always is talking about how big of a student of the game you are. He said that it's like having another coach on the field, and I said, I know there's a ton of guys that watch film, but he said that you're probably one of the guys that watches the most film. How important has that part of the game been for you? Having to adjust to this new position, but I think the film is probably extremely valuable to be able to then be successful on the field.
Yeah, I think it's definitely one of the most important things. When I first moved to linebacker, our other linebackers, Cohen Sturts and Denny Lafon last year, Denny's probably 5'7", 150 pounds, and he was an all-Ohio linebacker.
Right?
Yeah.
You can't do that without being a student of the game and learning everything. And he really taught me what to watch for in film, what's going to go on. And now that I watch film, I can tell you, they're giving me formation, telling me what plays running, special plays, and that's just the bare minimum. Because our coaching, Steve Helbert, our outside linebackers, he taught me a lot. Coach Craig and Coach Amicone also taught me a lot. But without them, I couldn't do anything. But they all taught me that, and it was the more I learned, the better I became. And it's all those most of my highlight plays are just because I know what they're gonna run.
Yeah.
And it's very important.
So you guys, you win the MOAC last year. You're qualified in the playoffs as a number 2 seed. You play in that epic game at Arlen Field. Fall to Ontario, but what, 49-48 was it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Going through that experience last year, how big of a motivator, I guess, was that going into the off season for you guys?
That was a insanely big motivator, and I still have nightmares about that game. It's like something we could have done different. You lose by 1 point to a crosstown rival, and just it haunts you really. But as soon as next Monday, we had 15 guys like starters or like people that were going to play next year in the weight room, and we're never going to let that happen again. And it's a big motor. We still think about it. We don't want to let that happen ever again.
Yeah, and I think I've told you a couple different times. I've talked to Kirtland's coach, Tiger Laverty, about the culture that they've built there, and he said, well, the biggest thing is that we won our last state championship on a Friday night, and Saturday morning we had 40 kids in the weight room. I mean, that's culture building, and that's what's going on there, it seems like. Yeah,
and I feel like I have to say it too, being in the seat, because Effie always brings up too that obviously you don't ever want to lose. And the good thing is last year you guys were the senior class was juniors, so there's so much that can be taken away from it though that can be valuable. Whether that's through the film, breaking it down again, but just the internal motivation that creates is really probably greater than almost any motivation you can create on your own that's not against an opponent. I know that's been a huge driver for all of you this year.
Yeah. What was the atmosphere that night at Arlen Field like? I mean, and how aware of, from what I understand, that place was darn near filled, which is saying something, because it seats 12,500 people. I mean, are you aware of what the crowd's doing?
It was so loud and like so packed. You kind of just like the noise. Just for me, it kind of canceled out. Even like the game against Galleon, you're just playing and you're so focused on the game. Like the noise is just another factor. I remember running out and listening to the noise, and like it's awesome hearing the fans cheer. But like when I'm playing, I just cancel it out and I don't really hear anything.
Right. And you brought it up. You guys returned a wealth of talent from that team last year, and you got some guys who moved in, Carter Kessler, Landon Foltz, some other guys. What's chemistry like? When you have a core group of guys who've been together all along, and then all of a sudden there's some new guys introduced. Does it take some time to work out those chemistry things?
Well, first for Carter, he always went to Shelby, and he was my best friend in sixth grade until he moved away. And so me and Carter have always been friends. And then Landon, he goes to the Keough Center. We both take classes there, so I was kind of close with him. And then Gavin Baker moved in from Madison. He's a great kid. My dad knows his dad, so I was like,
yeah, it kind of helps.
Always lifted with him. And then who's the other one? I forget. There's one
Hayden.
more. Oh,
right.
Paz. Yeah. From Harding, he was definitely like he took a while to break in, but he's one of my best friends now. I love that kid. They're all great.
Did they fit in right away, or was there kind of a getting to know you period there?
I would say Paz kind of took the longest because he came from Harding, and like no one really knew.
Right.
No one really knew him. Like we played against him in basketball. I don't play basketball, but they played against him in basketball. But like once you get to know him, he's a great kid.
Yeah,
for sure.
That's a concern, right? Chemistry is a real thing, and kind of embracing guys is important in that situation.
Yeah, and I think there's always there's opportunity for new, friendship relationships that come from that. But also, I think it's a great leadership opportunity because I think that this year has been a good example to, the classes below you guys of the leadership that it does take to, welcome guys in and then just have them mesh the way that they have this year. I think it shows a tremendous amount of maturity from the players to the staff to just keep things going the way they have.
Yeah, and we had Carter in here, and it seemed like he was, it certainly helped that he grew up with a lot of you guys, but it seemed like, he didn't miss a beat coming over from senior high or back to Shelby, I guess. It seems to me like that's you make it work because you kind of have to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he seemed really content when we talked to him and talked to him about that, and I think that it's boded very well for him and for the team at large.
Yeah, it's worked out for him. He will be signing with the University of West Virginia sometime
next week. Now.
Sometime now, not this evening, but it's certainly it's worked out well for all parties involved.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, given what you guys had coming back and the addition of those guys, expectations were really high. I wrote a column last week. I think I told you this, Hayden, but I found a message board that was predicting Shelby would win the regional championship, and that was in December of last year. Now that's a lot to be thrown at you. I mean, did you guys feel the weight of that? I mean, knowing what you're coming back. I mean, what people expected out of you.
I feel like we always had that in mind. Like for the first day of the off season last year, we had that in mind that we were gonna go try and win a state championship, and I always grew up like thinking about it. And I was like, the last year kind of solidified like, we can actually do this and like keep working. And it's kind of the pressure's like on, but it helps. Like when you're practicing throughout the week, like you can't take a rep off, because like if some team were to beat us in the regular season, it would have been a bust season. Right. Like we would have thought about that forever. No one would have not stopped talking about that. It's kind of the pressure's on, but it helps, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, so, like, from what I'm taking from that, I mean, the expectations you guys had for yourselves were higher than anything anything from outside, right? Yeah,
for sure. Our coaches always keep the standards. Coach A always talks about our standard at Shelby, and it has to stay high. You're like, that's not Shelby. Like, we always have like sayings like, that's not Shelby. And it's like, if we mess up, that's not Shelby. That's not us. That's not what our football team's about. And the standard's always high.
So you guys kind of rolled through the regular season. I think one game that was the first Galleon game was pretty close. So aside from that, it was you guys kind of rolled and did what was expected. In terms of load management, knowing that you guys were planning to make a extended playoff, I mean, I would think that you guys getting to sit out the second halves of a lot of those games might not be fun at the time, but it's benefiting you right now, right?
Oh, for sure. My body is thankful I didn't have to. I basically played. I would feel like I feel like I'm week 9, like actually playing. We've had 12 running clocks out of 14 games, and it's a great opportunity for the younger kids to get in and get ready for next year.
Yeah, that's how you continue to build a program, is getting kids varsity time that might not otherwise get varsity time.
Yeah, we talked about that on Monday over at the media night at the high school. Was I believe Coach had said, they gave, I think, specifically the freshmen the opportunity to continue to dress and to come to practice and to get those reps. And that's exactly, you hit it. That's how teams that are consistently good, programs that are consistently good, to this point now you've had, almost 5-6 extra weeks of practice that otherwise you wouldn't had, and especially with the bye week too, is another opportunity to get your JV guys and the freshman guys to stick around reps. And Coach said it too, against a really good team.
Right.
You're competing against your group of starters that are going to play for a state title, so you can't get any better experience than that.
And we sat in on the teleconference yesterday with all the. For those of you who don't know, like the OHSA has a teleconference on championship week where you can listen to the coaches for all 14 of the teams that are playing. And Hillsdale coach Trevor Klein said, we've had 12 extra weeks of practice in the last 2 years, and that, you can't underestimate the value of an extra season's worth of games in that time.
Mm-hmm. Right, and that's the same for you guys. I mean, you go back the past few years, it's been the regional level every time. So the amount of extra practice that's accumulated for all you guys over these past 4 years is quite a bit.
Is it, if you had to guess this year, how many quarters did you play?
I would probably say, we played 14 games.
Yeah.
Like probably 40.
Is that right?
I that's kind of rough.
Yeah, just kind of a ballpark. But I would imagine you probably want to be out there, but at the same time, it's awesome to give your body a rest. Now, you guys, watching the younger guys develop, is it satisfying, I guess, to see some of those younger guys come along as a senior? I would imagine you kind of embrace those kids and take them under your wing, and it's got to be neat to watch them kind of grow into the position that they've grown into.
Yeah, when I was a freshman, it was kind of rough. Like our program was just kind of like rebuilding. We graduated a lot of kids. I came as a freshman. It wasn't like the best, I would say, for younger guys. But over the last few years, we've took like the younger guys that have turned into upperclassmen, took that experience and tried to make it the best of them. A lot of the kids we lift with are the younger kids, and we want to keep building that tradition or the hard work, keep passing it down to the younger kids.
Right. Now you were, based on what you did in the regular season, you were selected the Northwest District Defensive Player of the Year in Division IV. Is that something you think about consciously? I mean, have you wrapped your head around that? I mean, I used to vote on that thing for the better part of 15 years, and it's a large area of the state we're talking about, and to be all Northwest District it's a big deal.
Yeah, for sure. I have goals for myself. I didn't know that was. I kind of forgot about it. I didn't know that was an option. But my goals for this year were win a state championship and be first team All Ohio. And that's kind of like it was surreal in the moment. But looking back on it now, it was just kind of a standard I set for myself.
Yeah, and I don't want to play spoiler, but the way that works, I mean, if you're our district player of the year, there's a pretty good chance you're going to end up on the All Ohio first team. So don't let it. Don't be surprised to find yourself on that list here. And what is it, next week that they put that stuff? I think they put it out the week after. I think they put it out the week after the state championships. Now, as for the postseason here, you guys have outscored your playoff opponents 174-21. I mean, have you been surprised that it's? I don't know. You don't want to call it easy, but you haven't been really challenged here along the way.
I'm not real. We're not really surprised, to be honest.
Right.
We knew, when we played Gallion the first time, we played our worst game we could have possibly played, and we still won by. We put up 17, or I don't know how many put up in the fourth quarter, but we almost ran away with it in the fourth quarter. And as a defense, looking at the stats after that game, we had basically all of our shutouts and everything. Teams haven't scored more than I don't know how many points, but it's a low amount after that game. And, we were kind of disappointed in ourselves with that game. And so after that, we kind of took pride in, make sure we practice harder and take care of things. And, watching film, we knew, we were going to do those things to those teams. And, we haven't really been that tested yet, but we'll be ready.
Well, and not to get too ticky-tacky and not blaming the offense if any of the offensive guys are listening to this, but, I mean, you could argue that you've only given up 14 in the postseason. I mean, the score last week comes off of a fumble inside the 5, and I'm pretty sure, one of the other touchdowns, I think possibly in the Gallion game, was set up with a turnover in their territory. So, I mean, the numbers are incredible.
That brings us to Friday morning. I mean, Cleveland Glenville is a different animal entirely. I mean, you're a film guy. I'm sure you've done your homework. I mean, what are your thoughts on the Tar Blooders?
Oh, I mean, they have great talent always. They have good coaching, but it's not the same team we played 2 years ago, and we're a different team. They have the athletes to get it done, but they have a very simple offense, if anything. But they have great athletes, and they're going to compete for the state title like they always do.
And you mentioned it. You guys played Glenville a couple years ago when you guys were sophomores. That ended up being, 50-14? I think so. Having played them, I mean, is it good to have played them and kind of know what to expect here?
Kind of. It kind of hurts because, going back to a sophomore year and watching them, they demolished us our sophomore year, to be honest. It's kind of like a negative thing because when we did play them, we got beat so bad.
Sure.
But, they kind of changed a few things up, but, they haven't really changed, I wouldn't say that much. They just rely on their good athletes they have.
And in Shelby's defense, they demolished a lot of people that year on their way to a state championship. But, Ted Ginn has done and we listened to him talk yesterday. If you don't like Ted Ginn, that's a you problem because he is a very likable coach. That's kind of the gold standard in Division IV football right now is what he's doing up there.
Yeah. He's coached almost 30 years, same program, had a lot of success. And I think one thing he really hammered was, and I'm sure this comes to no surprise to you guys, they want to run the ball. I know he said that his preference is 60-40, so they do still pass because they've got those athletes. But obviously they've got size, and they really do want to run the ball. I think there are some teams throughout the regular season and even the playoffs here who have liked to run the ball, but this will probably be the most run-heavy team. What kind of challenge, or what do you enjoy about that challenge? What do you look forward to? And maybe maybe it's your whole defense is looking forward to that. To really, I'm sure you guys are looking to prove yourself against this run. What would it take to just try to contain it?
Well, first off, I love that we're playing Glenville because of the athletes they have. Yeah. I get to compete against a kid that's going to Ohio State. Yeah. And, I grew up watching Ohio State. It's but they have great athletes, and I want to compete. I want to show what I'm made of. And, and my defensive job, that active in the past, I would say.
Yeah.
But, my job throughout the week is to stop the run. And, they have kids up front that are very big. They have a guard, I'm pretty sure that's 6'4", 320. I'm about 200 pounds, so do the math. But, I've been taught a lot of things throughout the last 2 years playing linebacker. And, I'm ready to use them one last time on Friday.
And you mentioned it. Sincere Johnson is that guy who's going to Ohio State. He's the top recruit in the state. He's signed with Ohio State, I think, this morning. I mean, he kind of plays what? A kind of a linebacker edge kind of hybrid. Well, nonetheless, I mean, when you watch him, what I mean, as a guy who kind of plays a similar position, what's he do so well?
The thing that sticks out to me is the size and the speed. That's always the first thing that pops up when you're looking at someone. But I haven't watched. I only play defense, so I haven't watched a lot of film on him. But like just the size, and they all have the size and the speed. That's the main thing that pops out to me.
And I think Ted said it good yesterday during the teleconference. He said as gifted as he is, physically, it's his processor. He's a student of the game. I mean, he's a really smart kid, a smart defensive football player.
Yeah, it's just like we talked about. I think you can have a guy that's the biggest and the strongest, but just like when we talked about with you changing positions, I mean, if you don't spend the time to build your intelligence in the position, guys like you and Sincere are both guys that show how that pays off when you're willing to put in that extra time. That's not always the physical work; it's the mental work.
Well, without giving away the game plan here, what's it going to take?
Just physicality, to be honest. They're going to try to run the ball. It's going to be snowing. They're not going to pass as much, but they're going to try to run the ball, and we got to be physical. And I'm prepared to put on that jersey one last time and give it all I got.
And as big of a challenge as that is, and I think Ted said it pretty well yesterday on the teleconference. They're playing a guy that as good as anyone they've seen at the quarterback position too. So it's gonna be exciting to see.
Yeah, that was definitely some high praise from a coach who's seen a lot of good athletes, given the schedule of quarterbacks that they've seen this year. And he said it, and I think it can probably be applied to a lot of you. I mean, he was talking about Braden specifically, but he's just like, they went back and watched that game from a couple of years ago and seeing how much different, how much better everyone's gotten. I don't know. I'm not going to say that that's what they thought, but that's probably a team that was probably looking past you guys a couple of years ago. And I would argue that I don't think that they can't look past this as the last game. But I mean, I think I got the idea from Coach Ginn that they've got a lot of respect for you guys and who they're going to be playing on Friday.
For sure. Now this is all uncharted territory for you guys. I mean, what are the distractions that come with playing in a state championship game? And is that hard?
Week,
is that kind of hard to block out? I mean, it's always got to be there.
There's a lot of distractions this week. It's a completely different week than we were experienced. Monday we had a media thing right after practice. Tuesday we went to Ashland practice indoors, and then we had problems on the bus on the way back. So then we had team meal right after. And then today we're lifting, and then we're going to the team meal, and then we're going to Ashland. We're practicing at 7 to 8:30 p.m., which we've never done before either.
Sure. And
then tomorrow morning we got a district-wide prep rally, and then we're going to Canton, touring Pro Football Hall of Fame, going to practice at a college again, Walsh, and then we're staying in a hotel. It's completely different, but it's an awesome experience.
Yeah, those are all good problems to have.
I did like what you said Monday night, because it wasn't me, but I forget who it was, whether it was Jake or Mark, that asked, it's weird. That's a weird time slot, and I believe your answer was, you like the opportunity to play at 10:30 because it's less time to just sit around and be anxious all day. You just get to wake up and hit people.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a typical linebacker response. It was kind of a joke to get the guys in the back to laugh.
Absolutely.
But yeah, it's definitely for the nerves are going to help me a lot, because I've probably thrown up.
I think I was by you one time when you did.
Yeah, 10 of the 14 games I've probably thrown up 10 of the 14 games. But yeah, the nerves are bad for me. But I like waking up in the morning, just get to go.
Yeah. What does Friday morning look like for you guys? I mean, you're going up on Thursday. Are they chartering buses for you? Are you guys riding school buses?
I think, we'll be chartering buses again. And then I think we're going to get breakfast at the hotel. Actually, I think that OSHA feeds us at the stadium.
Right.
I'm not exactly sure. But, wake up at the hotel, pack our things, and then throw them on the charter bus and then go play a game. it's nothing crazy. But then we have a prep rally right after back at Shelby.
What time you guys getting to Tom Benson? Is it like, I mean, we can get in at 9 o'clock. I would imagine you guys probably are getting in before that.
I think if it's 10:30 start around there, probably 8:38.
Okay. And that's that's all. This is all new stuff to navigate here. This is all a challenge. Playing at 10:30 in the morning is unusual.
Yeah, it's tough. They make the technology pretty helpful now with being able to, do not disturb or anything. So make sure you guys get some sleep.
Well, what would it mean, not just to you guys, but to the community to come home with a gold trophy on Friday afternoon?
Definitely, it means a lot. And like when we have those pep rallies or we have the escorts, you can see what the community comes out, and it's amazing like how many people support it. It just means everything to our community.
And Shelby has a long history of throwing all of its support behind its schools. We saw it a couple years ago when we covered the basketball team down in Dayton. It's a community that lives and dies, and it's with football especially.
Oh, yeah. I think by now, whether it's through reporting or through this podcast, everybody knows that's where I'm from. It's where I went to school. It's where I played football. So I try to keep all of that out of my writing as far as bias. But, I think we're at a spot now where this whole county at large is behind you guys. And, I remember when one of my aunts went to state with the girls basketball team, there was all the classic signs, last one turned the lights out, and it's really true.
Yeah.
Just last week you got 4,500 people making a 2.5 hour trip on a miserably cold night to the middle of nowhere. I know that a 10:30 slot presents some challenges, but shame on any bosses that don't let someone from Shelby not work that day. But as someone who grew up there and had those same aspirations and all those things, it's truly special because, when you're like teams like Glenville are familiar names when you get to these games, Shelby's the little guy. We're the smaller guys, but it does not mean, just like Sam said, that every kid that plays for Shelby or puts on a uniform doesn't dream of this. It doesn't mean the dreams aren't there. So, you guys finally got that chance to do it.
Have you allowed yourself to think about what it would be like to be a state champion?
Not yet. I can't get too nervous now.
Right.
Maybe Thursday. Probably not Thursday night because I'm trying to sleep. Thursday. But I'm just going to try to wake up and then think about it, because if I do, I'm not going to be able to sleep. But, if we canceled school, and I don't know. Yeah. I know multiple people that are flying in to watch this game, so it means a lot.
Yeah, has there been a pretty good you guys had the alumni thing out there, earlier this week?
On Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving Day. Has that support from the do you feel that from guys who have gone through the program?
Yeah, absolutely. It definitely helped on a Thursday practice that was freezing. That's the coldest I've ever been out of. But, you have like 100 alumni watching you practice. That's going to make you practice better. So it really helped our team, I feel like.
What did they say to you? Did they get a chance to address you guys?
A little bit. I talked to a few guys after, I saw Brendan Armstrong and all those guys I grew up watching play. My dad was there and a lot of the parents were, and just words of encouragement.
Right. Well, I think that's going to wrap it up here. That's everything we got. We would like to wish you the best of luck here, and hopefully
we're a minimal distraction.
You're driving back on Friday afternoon with a gold trophy in tow.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Yep. Thanks for thanks for stopping by. And this is going to do it for the podcast until after the first of the year. But for those of you who have listened to us all fall, we certainly appreciate it, and check back in in 2026. Thanks.